Audio Jungle.
Alleged gunmen fatally shot by police in St. Catherine identified. The police have identified the four men who were fatally shot during an alleged armed confrontation with cops last Wednesday along the Linstead bypass in St. Catherine. They are 19-year-old Kemar Tucker of Penwood Drive, 27-year-old Kemar Williams, otherwise called Johnny, of Vermont Road, 34-year-old shopkeeper Dane Lewis, and 40-year-old laborer Nicholas Singh. The police reported that the men were fatally shot by a police team in the vicinity of the Rosemount runabout in St. Catherine. According to the police report, the men were intercepted in a Kia motor vehicle following their alleged involvement in the murder of St. Catherine businessman Horace Crossman in Guysville, St. Catherine. The men allegedly shot at the police, and during the exchange of gunfire they were hit while an accomplice escaped. The police reported that 2 illegal guns were seized. The Independent Commission of Investigation and the Police Inspectorate of Professional Standard Oversight Bureau are conducting separate probes into the matter. UWI students urge extension of hurricane fee waiver. While expressing gratitude for the institution's ongoing response, students at the University of the West Indies Mona campus say they are hoping some measures can be extended and others reassessed following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. It's like everyone was just turning their backs on what was happening. To me, it felt like an adapt and move on or get left behind situation, said a 23-year-old student from St. Catherine, one of two who spoke with reporters on the condition of not being named. Classes at the university began on November 3rd, less than a week after the Category 5 storm made landfall in western Jamaica, causing catastrophic damage. Explaining the decision to restart at the time, Campus Registrar Donovan told reporters that the university had the facilities to restart and maintain it had put several measures in place to support affected students. Those measures included the recording of classes so students could have access, a 50% waiver on remaining school fees for qualifying students, home visits for affected students, access to mental health services, and the possibility of exam and semester deferrals. However, the students who spoke to reporters say that while they are grateful for the measures, they do not fully address the issues they are facing. Regarding the 50% slash in remaining fees, the students indicated that it is not as much help as it sounds. The problem is that the storm came after midterms. One of the students, who is from Chilani, explained, in order to make a midterm exam, you'll have to pay at least 75% of the tuition. So for them to implement that, it is not. I mean, we're grateful for it and all, but it would be better for them to come in and say, we place this for January semester. This student from St. Catherine, who says her extended family in St. Elizabeth was affected and now shares a home with her immediate family, putting additional strain on financial resources, was in agreement. I think for semester 2, they could have also extended the waiver because that is when most of the financial burden will bring to set in for a lot of us from the western side of the island, she explained. In commenting on the potential extension of the waiver, Stanberry said for now, the relief is on for first semester balance. If that needs continuing into the second semester well as management, we would have to regroup and look at it. The waiver applies to students in Cornwall County or others affected who have lost property, homes of residence, or whose caregivers have died or experienced loss of livelihood or employment. The students also indicated that the resumption of classes was not a smooth process. They did say that classes would be online and recorded, but after, I didn't have any light or any reception, so I came up late because the community is damaged. Everybody is trying to help each other to put roof over their head and so forth, right? Some lecturers were keeping classes soon after the hurricane, so when I came back, that was a big gap, said the student from Trelawney. The student shared concern that the directive from lecturers to record all their classes is being carried out in an haphazard way, with only some educators complying. Not all lecturers are listening to that, but some are, she said, adding, class resumed face-to-face like a week after, even when students said that they were not going to protest. Persons that weren't affected who live in Kingston area were at class, field trips went out. The student from St. Catherine added, in terms of catching up, a lot of lecturers They extended deadlines to submit reports and stuff like that. We did have some lecturers who went ahead to record classes, some who decided to start back on the week of the 10th of November, while some just went ahead and just started classes, regardless of who was left behind. Both students say one of their main concerns is that some people miss over a week of school and must now catch up if they are to pass without deferring their studies. So far, I don't see anything put in place to help with the workload. They did extended exams, but for like 3 days later, the student from Trelawney explained. School continued, and they're continuing with the material just as normal. I've established a relationship with my lecturers, and they're lenient, like in terms of submitting work. But well, not everyone is like that, she stated. Regarding the issue of recording, Stanbury acknowledged that the university has heard some similar complaints and said while it may not always be feasible to record sessions, lecturers were instructed to make material including lecture notes or PowerPoint presentation accessible to students. The student from St. Catherine also said the school could have been more flexible in terms of final exams. I do understand that we have to do our final assessment to properly evaluate our knowledge of the courses, but I do think that we could have found a different way for us to get assessed without the burden of exam stress, along with having a mentally come back from what had happened to us in the West, she stated. Her suggestions include maybe giving a bit more coursework, giving us more presentations, and eliminating the aspect of final exams, because we all know that when it comes down to exams, we get very stressed. The student pointed out that some courses are exam only, which also poses a problem. Stanbury is urging students who have needs to visit the campus registrar and make a case for themselves while noting that those who have not yet heard from have not been forgotten. We're still in the process of trying to find our students. We're actively doing that, and we're using every medium known to mankind to find them and to deliver to them, he noted. Clarendon Hills overlooked. Several councils in Clarendon say they have been neglected and sidelined in the wake of Hurricane Melissa, claiming they were not given adequate support to help residents prepare for the storm or recover from its destruction. Their frustrations came to a head during last Thursday's sitting of the Clarendon Municipal Corporation, where long-standing concerns resurfaced. Councils from northern and rural sections of the parish complain that their divisions have received minimal attention despite the national scope of the disaster. Councillor Anthony O'Connor of the Coffs Hill Division said more than 200 homes were damaged in his area and one life was lost, yet the community continues to be overlooked. A life was lost in the hills, and I'm sure it is not recorded as a life due to Hurricane Melissa, he said. It can't be just that. Only when Portland Cottage and Rocky Point have severe flooding, when the hills are affected, we have to be arguing for even the visit, he noted. O'Connor added that not even tarpaulins or basic emergency supplies have been provided and described care packages from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security as a disgrace. Councillor Trevor Gordon of the Spalding Division nods his support throughout O'Connor's presentation, occasionally interjecting with yes and true as the complaints escalated. A housing support program driven by members of Parliament was rolled out to assist residents impacted by Hurricane Melissa. Members of Parliament in the worst affected parishes, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Manchester, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, have been allocated $10 million for constituency relief. Those in St. Anne and Clarendon will receive $5 million per constituency, while the others will be allocated $3 million under the Building Support Program. The sentiments of neglect were echoed by other councillors from the injured land section of the parish, painting a picture of communities left to fend for themselves. Councillors argued that despite this allocation, they are being excluded from communication and information sharing, with updates funneled only through MPs. O'Connor's questioned the logics, noting MPs were not part of disaster planning committees. He also criticized the reduced grants allocation, pointing out that after Hurricane Barry last year, councils received $500,000 compared with $250,000 following Melissa, a stronger Category 5 storm. Meanwhile, Councillor Delroy Dawson of Inn Town stressed that churches must be properly equipped to accommodate evacuees, including functioning kitchens, and warned that resources remain far too limited for this case of devastation across the agricultural belt. Councillor Colin Henry of Thompson Town added that no one was looking to the hills and urged the government to export Starlink internet devices to ensure reliable communication in rural areas where connectivity collapses during disasters. To subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.